this episode, I'm going to teach you how to learn and play Suzie Q riff. Now, this is a great riff to play. It's very recognizable from one of the great bands, CCR. However, learning this in one whole chunk can prove a bit of a problem, and I'm going to teach you how to get around that. And plus, if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share a free gift with you. All right, let's get into it. Alright, let's dive into this topic of how to play and learn Suzie Q riff. Now, when you first see the riff, similar to how it's written here, all of a sudden that can cause instant overwhelm, especially for beginners. But what I'm going to suggest is how to get through this is not do the whole thing at once. Right, because that's only going to cause extra stress. It's not going to be fun, because there's a few things that we need to develop here, technique-wise, to play it successfully. And because it is such a fun one to do, let's take a little bit of time to get there before playing it in full. All right, let's go for it. So I'm going to take this through just how I teach songs in whole is through the CPR formula. And this is how we can break it down into small chunks and get very successful reps done, and you'll see results almost instantly. So when we look at this riff here, we're going to go from hitting the open low E string and jumping all the way to the second string at the 3rd fret there. Okay, so that in itself can cause beginners a little bit of anguish, and it's until we get that technique going, none of this other stuff is going to fall into place. So what I suggest is just chunk this down. So here's our chunk here, right? That's our chunk, our step number 1. All right, so all I'm going to get you to do is just grab your pick, right, and you're going to put a finger, it doesn't matter what finger, on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string there. It can be your 1st finger, it can be your 3rd finger, 2nd finger, it doesn't really matter. Just have one in place there, and all I'm going to get you to do is just pick the open 6th string, and then the 2nd string there at the 3rd fret. And you'll find that because this pick is going to travel across all those strings, it doesn't feel natural, all right? And we want to make each part of this process of learning this riff natural. That's the whole aim there. All right, so we're going 6th string to the 3rd string, all right? And we're going to do it really slowly. We're not really worried about putting it in time just yet. It's just getting that technique going. Okay, and you just got to repeat that over and over. Do it really, really slow. Right, we're not at full tempo. It's slow. And get that feeling comfortable. Okay, that's step number 1. Okay, once you got that going, it's time to add the 2nd step, and that's taking that 2nd note we played, that fretted note on the 2nd string there, 3rd fret. And then we're going to add the 2 and 0 on the 3rd string. So our chunk is 3rd fret, 2nd string, 2nd fret, 3rd string, and then open 3rd string. Okay, and we just want to get that comfortable. Again, we're not worried about the timing here. We're just getting our fingers to move in the right direction. Okay? Just over and over and over again until it starts feeling comfortable. Now, depends where you are in your development. 3 notes at a time may be enough. It may not. It may feel really small. If you're a bit further along, just add more notes in, but keep the chunks there. Okay? All right. So that's their 2nd chunk. Let's look at the 3rd one, under the 3rd chunk. And all you can see, what I've done is just married these 2 first chunks, chunk 1 and 2, together. Right? So we're going to try and put 4 notes together now. So it's a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit more to remember. Okay? So 0 up to the 2nd string there. And again, you're just trying to get those notes flowing together, not so much in the rhythm. All right, because we've got to know where our fingers have got to go before we worry about the timing of it. And that's just how, like, it, you know, when I teach songs to adults, it's just like, okay, let's get this progression going. One line of a verse, for example, because we've got to know which way direction the chords go before we worry about, okay, well, how does it fit into the whole song? The same thing applies for a scale. It's just chunk it down, play it slow, repetition. All right, our next chunk in this process to learn the Suzie Q riff is this one here, where it's all on the 4th string. So we're going to start on the open 4, and then play the 2nd fret 2 times. Right, and again, we're just getting a small amount of notes together, so it's not overwhelming. We can remember it, all right? Which I should have mentioned. So we want to be able to say this before we can play it. So 0, 2, 2. 0, 2, 2. Then what I would do, I would just put this chunk in with the last lot I've got and try and get that. Once I get that, I add it to the previous chunk. Alright, so I'm not stressed out with a copious amount of notes. I'm not trying to do it at full tempo, trying to play along with the song right now, because that's going to stress me out. I'm just keeping it small, bite-sized pieces, easy to achieve, and easy to get runs on the board, and which builds your confidence up. Alright, I just realized I didn't notate this properly. So let's look at this chunk now in its right order. So what we're going to do here is hammer on, we're starting on the 5th string, we're going to pick that open, and then we're going to hammer onto the 2nd fret before we go to the open 4th string. Alright, so it's... Alright, now, when we do a hammer on, what we want to get is that we got to pick the first one and then make the 2nd note sound as clear and close to equal volume as possible. So we don't want a slow hammer. We need it quick. So think like this head of a hammer coming down onto a nail. And that's, again, you can use whatever finger you want. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you're comfortable with there. So we got the hammer open to hammer down to the 2nd fret, and then open 4 afterwards. Alright? And you just spend some time with that. You don't have to, again, we're not worried about the rhythm. That'll come later once we're more comfortable with getting this hand and this hand together and then syncing them together. Okay, so that's the second, that's the chunk there. Now, once you've got that down, just go back and do it all the way through to here. We're getting close to the end, but we don't want to rush through. All right, so we want to make sure that we've got all the previous parts going together before adding the next one. Okay, let's look at this. There's a couple of things going on in this last little chunk. One, we got to get from the 4th string back to the 6th string with our picking hand. But here, when we do the 3rd fret there on the 6th string, we've got to bend it just a little bit. Alright, so it's not like, it's not a huge bend, it's just a little, like quarter note. So we've got it. Alright, so what I would suggest is maybe just work that first, the bend there on the 6th string. So you pick it and then bend it. Alright. Okay, bends can take a little bit of time. This one's not too difficult because it's just a little one right before we go back to the open string there. But I would work on the bend first before adding the open 4th string and then the bend. All right, so just all right, and then once you get that, what I would suggest is just simply don't do the whole thing on this one because there's a bit going on. I would take the chunk back and do this right here. All right, so it's just like 0, 2 on the 5th string, up to the 4th string, back to the 6th string. So there's a bit going on for this end. And then the bend at the end. So once you get that, go back, your riff's done, you just go back and put it all through. Now that you know how to learn and play Suzie Q riff, if you're looking for songs to play, because that is just a scale pattern, the riff is just a scale pattern, I should say, and I don't recommend just you playing riffs just for the sake of playing riffs, or scales for that matter. I recommend you playing songs. So if you're looking to play songs around the campfire, backyard party, or even just for yourself, and you're just getting started, I recommend my free gift of the Ultimate 4-Chord Songbook. Now, not a songbook, it's a video course with 10 songs in it, right? You get one song every month over 10 months, all right? And it's just 4 chords or less for each song. Each song is broken down into tiny videos so you can learn it at your own pace, focus on one aspect of the song, and then play it, get it, and then come back and do the next section, right? So it's not overwhelming, it's not stressful in any way, shape, or form. For every song, you also get like a one-page chord chart. This just fits everything on one page. It's very easy to understand and see. No dots and dashes or hieroglyphics going on or anything like that. So to get it, all you need to do is just follow this link below, all right? And that will take you to the little form, and you just enter your details there. You get instant access to your first song, and then in a month's time, you get your next song. All right, and that goes over a period of 10 months. Now, if you want further help with how to play scales or how to practice the scales, watch this video here. I'm sure you're going to find it useful. All right, see you on the next one.